Yo, what is going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 174. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and I'm joined by Emilio Lopez,
Sup, people? How's it going?
Carlos Romero,
What up, what up?
Brett Murdoch,
What's up, everybody?
and Adam Vale.
Hello, Internet.
All right, so a couple of things. We're a little late tonight because Adam was having some funny issues.
Yeah, I didn't know that my new SteelSeries headset had a little mute button all the way at the top, so wasted a whole lot of time for just when I could have just pressed the fucking button.
Yeah, we were trying to figure this shit out. It just wasn't working. All right, Chris will not be back on the show until episode 176 because he's moving and stuff. You know how that goes, you know?
Is he still staying in Texas? Is that still where he's going to stay?
Yeah,
or?
shout out to Apex Hell #1 who is now following us on Twitch. You get Mark out another name, I guess. Yeah, he's in Texas. He just moved like a mile up the road or something.
Oh, okay. So he did.
And Brian, there's no mystery. He went to go see Black Panther again. He told me. So there you go.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
Yeah, man. So there you go. So yeah, let's just jump right into it, man. G Megaforce 123 asks, games you regret playing on a certain platform. He goes, I was just thinking of some games that I wish I hadn't played when they first released or were bad / not great ideas on a certain platform. For me, it's Mortal Kombat. I played on Super Nintendo, but there was no blood like the Genesis version. So yeah, this is more about like ports and stuff, and I'm guessing this would more pertain to like older games. You know what I mean? Although I'm curious about newer games that you wish like, oh man, I wish I had played the PlayStation version of that instead of this version. You know?
Yeah, I mean, like current games, it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, because they're all kind of the same.
Oh, I have a
much
perfect
the
one
same.
for this.
Oh.
Perfect one, but it wasn't me. It was a coworker at the time. He showed me his iPad. He was like, look what I got. I'm like, what? Got BioShock. I'm like, BioShock? And I was like, he's like, yeah, look at this. I can play BioShock. That was that game, right? With the underwater and the big monsters. I'm like, all right. And I'm watching him play, and he's having all this trouble trying to move around and stuff. I'm like, that is horrible. You have to play it on a console or the PC. You can't. And that was it. He was like, all right, whatever. And then eventually he wound up playing it on his PC. He was a PC guy. And he was like, yo, man, it's like night and day. He was like, why did they even bother? It's the controls. It's all about controls, you know? And he just didn't have the controls. So he's like, yeah, I regretted wasting all that time and money getting it on my iPad. It just was
I mean, it's like, what did you expect? I mean, it's a friggin' iPad. It's like, it's not going to work great.
He just thought that since they ported and spent all that time doing it, you know what I mean? It was like they would have come up with something. They didn't even have.
You want to know why they did it? It's a rope-a-dope, man.
It's a rope.
Because it's because you know, people hear of these games like, oh, I heard it. I saw a commercial like that. They put it on the iPad. They don't care how good the controls are.
Yeah, well, it was hard for him to play because, I mean, remember, you have to switch different weapons and stuff, and then you have the second ability, and so he had to do all these different taps and double taps. There's no actual physical buttons to switch things, so he had to hold like 2 buttons on one side. It was weird. I was like, all right, well, too bad.
I'm just going to continue to play my real BioShock.
I think it was like $15, $20. I forgot how much. It wasn't that expensive. I remember when it came out.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like for me, because I had a Super Nintendo and a Genesis, so I played whichever version was the better one. You know, I know I did have
Exactly.
Yeah, I know I played Resident Evil on Saturn, and also played it on. And I also played Tomb Raider on Saturn, and the better versions were on the PlayStation, but I didn't actually regret that I played them on Saturn. You know what I mean? So this question doesn't really apply to me, because again, it's mostly for like Super Nintendo Genesis games, and I played whichever version I felt was better at that point, you know?
Let me know if this counts, Tony. Do you wish you played the Bethesda games of last generation on the 360 rather than the PS3?
That's a good question. The thing is, I'm not...
That's a good one.
That's a great one. Here's the thing. If I was more invested in Bethesda games, I would say yes, because they ran better. But no, I really don't regret it, to be honest.
Dude, I have a friend who's upset that he got Fallout 3 for PS4 and not Xbox One, because the modding is so much better on the Xbox version.
That's a good
because
example.
I guess PlayStation version, you have to every mod that they do has to go through PlayStation, which means that they're very limited. They have to be okayed on every mod that they do. Then they only have access to certain assets, whereas the Xbox version allows more freedom. So you could definitely do more on the Xbox version, and I imagine that goes for Skyrim too.
That's pretty interesting though, because like I would think like your friend would be disappointed, right? Because Xbox has more mods, but if he switches to Xbox, he'd be pretty disappointed when he looks at PC.
He's not a big PC guy, and he does not have the patience to be a PC guy. I will say he's gets frustrated a little bit easier. He's one of those people. Like, I'll be honest, if you have a short fuse, PC gaming is not necessarily always best for you because it's not plug and play. That shit doesn't run right correctly, right out of the box. A lot of times you have to have some computer knowledge or set it up or optimize it or dig into the system menu. And for people with a very little amount of patience, that is just way too much for them. And I sometimes fall on that side of the fence myself. Like, I hate playing a PC game sometimes because I can virtually guarantee that from the time that I decide to pull out my credit card and buy the game, I will not be playing that game today. I will be playing it the next day, most likely, if I'm lucky. But I will probably not get that game up, started, and optimized that day. So, I think it's a happy medium there. But so I could just pretty much just subscribe to this channel and I get the mod and that's it. Like modding on PC is a whole different beast. Although Steam has made it easier.
Yeah, let's get back on topic though. Do you have any games that fit this bill, Brett?
I really don't. I actually find it the other way around. Like, I usually enjoy the first iterations better. I don't like it when they go back and redo stuff. Not because I have a problem with that, but
it's not really redo. It's like, let's say the game drops on the same day, right? And you're like, fuck, I wish I would have bought it on that platform instead of this one.
Oh, that happens all the time, though.
Yeah, again, we're talking
place.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, like I was thinking specifically like Jet Set Radio. Like when it re-released on the Xbox, it was still the same game, but they had lost a lot of the music licenses.
Yeah.
So it wasn't technically. It was a little bit more polished and shored up and bug fixed than the original, but it was still the inferior version, in my opinion. And so I think that's a lot. Anytime they push something to a new system, I feel like they always lose something or it's exactly the same. I don't really feel like a lot of times they gain anything. And yeah, system parity disparity hasn't been around since the 16-bit era.
Yeah, that's why I said this really applies to the old eras, For
Jet Set, though, that is a little bit of an interesting situation because they added songs to that game when it came to the States.
They did add songs.
So theoretically, it's the real version of it from Japan, just not the one that just not the localized, semi-localized version that we got. Which
they removed some songs
had Rob Zombie
and
and stuff in it.
No. I'm not talking about the Rob Zombie song. I am specifically not talking about that song. For anybody who listens and cares, that is the one song I didn't care about.
Yeah, Dragula or whatever was in there.
Oh, God. It was such a weird...
Dragula!
It was so out of place with the other music.
Wait, that was in the Dreamcast version?
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
It was either a White Zombie song or a Rob Zombie song that was in there. Well, made no sense.
Dragula was a Rob Zombie. I remember getting that album. Remember Super Beast?
Yeah.
I remember.
We bought that.
I'm the one that you wanted.
Yeah.
I'm the Super Beast.
Damn, I want to play that tonight.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to CJ the Rocker who is now following us on Twitch. Very cool.
Thank you,
CJ. Happy birthday.
Yeah, I don't think.
But you missed those songs that were from the one that you played, which kind of
you don't have to worry about that in Burnout Paradise. Got all 80-something tracks.
That's the one. Didn't they add songs to it too?
No.
I don't think so.
No, I mean DLC. Didn't they add DLC songs to it, or am I thinking just Rockstar shit?
Rockstar does.
Yeah, Rockstar does that. Yeah. They didn't do that for Burnout. Anyway, I think we pretty much all answered the question, right?
Well, here's the thing for me. Like, I haven't actually answered it, but I'm kind of like the way Tony is, where rather I played the best version that I could play on the thing that I played it on. Like, as far as Mortal Kombat went, I actually never bought Mortal Kombat ever because I didn't like any version of that game because I thought it was all of them were flawed in some way. But yeah, I never had that thing where it's like, I wish I got this on there,
Didn't your brother Michael have for Genesis?
He had Mortal Kombat for Genesis because he had the Genesis, and I remember little Jose had my brother had the other one, had the Super Nintendo one.
I just remember I didn't have it, but I remember going to your dad's house and playing it there. It's on
Yeah, you
console.
did. Yeah, you did play it there. Like Jose, they had both versions. So
they did have it there. I was like, oh wow, you're playing this in the
with
house.
the blood code and everything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got one slash that could be branched into a bunch. I really wish I had waited to play Stardew Valley on the Switch. And I think that goes for a lot of those little micro indie games that are on Steam. Like a lot of them are fun, but they're way more fun when I'm not tied to my PC with them.
Stardew's also on, PS4 though.
It is. So I guess that goes for any of those little games on Steam that I could have played on a console that,
Do those really count though? Like you paid like $3 for like Stardew Valley. Like it's not that expensive.
I actually paid $15 for Stardew Valley
on Steam.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Before it was on sale.
Yeah, that's pre-sale price.
That's the regular price, isn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, I think that goes with any game on PC that doesn't really need PC hardware to run it. I'm generally happier with on the Switch, which is why I've kind of gone that way. But there are several games before the Switch was even.
So are you going to play over Undertale?
I really have no desire to play Undertale. I think that game is stupid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, from what I heard, it sounds like really stupid game. So yeah,
I mean, to certain people, fine. But the whole premise of you don't have to fight these monsters, you can solve a puzzle or do a riddle or a little mini game for them instead and befriend them. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna kill them. Maybe that makes me a horrible person, but the whole game is about a mechanic that I'm not interested in. So,
well, I mean, it's not actually about that mechanic. It's more like a choice whether you do it or you don't. Pretty much.
And I will always choose to do it. Same way in BioShock. I'm gonna eat them little sister bitches.
You ate them all?
Fuck them. They're little monsters. They're horrible little monsters that tried to kill you.
They were possessed.
Fuck, Law of the Jungle, bitch.
You're a horrible person, Brett. You're killing digital children.
I am killing something that tried to kill me first. Law of the Jungle.
Yeah, man, kill or be killed. I subscribe to that mentality too. Anyway, let's move on here to the second question. What does Microsoft's Xbox platform brand itself as? Nintendo brands itself as the family-friendly and child-friendly platform. Sony PlayStation brands itself as the adult system. However, I've never been able to figure out what Microsoft brands its Xbox consoles as. Does anyone know? All right, before we go on, Sony does not actually brand themselves as the adult console. They brand themselves as the gamer's console.
Yeah, and they've even made commercials about it.
Yeah, and
I think they brand themselves
console. That's it.
No, they brand themselves as the storytelling console. They're their console that transports you to another world. Sony always.
Oh, you're talking about Sony? I thought it was Microsoft.
No. Sony always banks on the narrative, and it banks on narrative-heavy games. Its whole idea is it transports you to another world, and its ad campaign says as much, in my opinion. So while they're not going for adult games, they definitely present themselves as mature storytellers. Even the guy in their current commercials, he's an older dude who's supposed to be like a mystical weapons salesman. Like he's meant to appeal to gamers, 30 plus even. Like if you looked at the marketing that or the age range that marketing is pandered towards, it's definitely adults. 14-year-olds don't want to have a grizzled 45-year-old weapons dealer guy talking at them. That feels like an adult. That feels like the other generation. So yeah. I would think that Sony is definitely branding itself as maybe not as the console for adults, as the more mature option.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of don't see that. I see them like they're catering to everybody, adults and kids, whereas Nintendo is like purely kids. Microsoft is an interesting one, right? Because they're generally known as the bro shooter console, right? The shooter box, right?
I feel like that was a 360. They lost that.
Yeah, but no, we're talking about the Xbox brand in general. So that's how they've been known for most of their life.
That's how they were, and they never rebranded as the problem. They don't have a new brand.
The thing is, they're trying to make a new brand.
They have
now.
The strongest console in the world. That's their thing. It's the brand with the strongest console in the world, the most powerful. They always talk about that now.
Yeah, but no, but
that was a pivot, though.
yeah,
That's not what their company was based on. They started as we are the extreme, we are the bro console kind of thing, and they tried to pull away from that to we are integrated into everything.
Yeah.
TV, and that didn't work, so they pivoted and landed on we're the most powerful console out there. But I don't think their company brand is about being the fastest, the strongest, the most powerful. If they do that with the presentation of the next console, like if that's what they stick with, then we can say that that's their MO. But at this point, I think we can only say it's reactionary.
Yeah, they don't really have a brand anymore. They used to have a brand, not anymore. They're trying to find one because it seems like they're trying to distance themselves from the shooter bro hardcore, Doritos, Dorito eating, Mountain Dew swelling guys.
I don't think it's so much that they're trying to push themselves away from that. I think it's just they're losing it because, remember, PlayStation has those exclusive content rights with Call of Duty. They still don't have that DLC, the Call of Duty DLC that was on PS4. So it's like, well, if we're not getting those exclusives like they used to, and now it's the main reason why a lot of people went there to play, then what is it?
Yeah.
Well, remember they try to when they in the launch of the Xbox One, they try to market it as the system that can do anything.
Well, the one
that didn't even last like not even a year with them that idea.
No, because they backfired on. Nobody wanted to pay $500 for that console.
Yep. So that. Go ahead.
Okay, we can't have a polite off here. You go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, Brett, you go first. No, I'm just kidding. I'll go. Yeah, so that's like therein goes the whole pivot that Brett mentioned. Like they wanted to put themselves as the one that can do everything. That didn't help out. So then they just went towards their target audience and then eventually they're like the most powerful console, which is the latest kind of slogan that they're trying to pass on from the last couple of months.
You know what makes me wonder about that? Because they must have known. Think about it. Call of Duty, huge hit, makes tons of money, right? And I'm sure Activision told Microsoft, hey, listen, PlayStation's willing to pay X amount of dollars for this exclusive content. Now, we've always had this working relationship. Do you want to keep that going? And they must have said no. And that's kind of ballsy that they probably felt, you know what, we're good at this point. We don't need that deal. And I'm sure that deal was done before the launch of the Xbox One because it's always been since this generation that all those DLCs and stuff is exclusive to PlayStation when that wasn't the case. I'm sure Activision offered it to Microsoft and then just said, by the way, we're done with you. We're going with PlayStation. So,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so and that idea is why I'm thinking that they were probably already trying to back away from the idea of being the pro gamer system.
No, I think they've been trying to back away from the idea of being a pro gamer system for most of the generation. They haven't been real sure what they're replacing it with. And my current theory right now is, and this may be just me giving Microsoft more credit than they're worth, but we'll see. I think they might start focusing on multiplayer because Xbox has always been at its core about playing with your friends, whether they be away from you or in the same room with you. That's why it had 4 controller ports when the PlayStation had 2. And if you look at their first big exclusive game they pumped a lot of money into that's coming up, Sea of Thieves, it follows that idea. If Sony is going to really bank on immersive, heavily narrative, single-player experiences, then Microsoft would do well to focus on the idea of playing with your friends and really try and push their exclusives in their library towards a community, because that's what Xbox made its name with. Granted that Xbox community kind of became a joke of itself, but it launched having a very strong community. There's always people to play with. There's always friends to play with. There's always games to play with people. And Sony definitely made its name with, look at how well we tell a story. So I think Microsoft might be backpedaling into multiplayer.
Yeah, they're going into games as a service. That's what they're trying to go as right
Tony,
now.
do you remember the first time you were able to play online and talk to people through your PlayStation?
Yeah.
Do you remember that day?
That was what?
Metal Gear Solid 4. That was your first? That was the first game I ever played online, yeah.
Mine, I remember it was on Xbox, the OG. It was Ghost Recon. Mm-hmm. And I remember going into the lobby and then saying hello and hearing other people, hi. Oh, hi. You know, and everyone's just like nervous, like not
remember
sure what to say and stuff.
People were nice back then. Remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, everybody was nice, and they were like, you know, there was maybe one or two guys that would come across and were like, "Well, I'm used to this. You know, I have Wilco on PC, and it's similar to that." But it's like, I'm like, "Oh wow, this is so crazy. We're talking and we're playing." I still have some of those people on my friends list.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
2003, 2004.
Yeah, for me it's different because remember I was on PlayStation 3. I don't think I actually talked to anyone until maybe 2010. Before that, we were just typing. We were just typing to each other.
That's PlayStation though. Okay, so let me say this.
Well, did you not hear when I said I was on? This is because I was on PlayStation.
No. I agree. I thought about this actually recently because when I was thinking about picking up Sea of Thieves, one of my first things when talking with you guys was I don't know how many of these motherfuckers are actually going to play, and that left me in a position where I was like, I may actually end up playing this game quite a bit by myself. But then all of a sudden this realization occurred to me. I'll be playing on Xbox, and the Xbox environment is incredibly different than the PlayStation environment. In PlayStation, you don't talk to strangers. It's like living in New York.
Well,
right? Like,
now it's kind of different now, but back in PS3 days, yeah, you didn't talk to nobody.
No, for the most part. Like, I still don't generally hear, like, I get into a chat room and maybe 20% of the people are using their mics. On Microsoft or on Xbox, a good like 80% of people will use their mics or at least be open to using their mics. So you can just jump in with a group of people you've never met before and start talking with them. That doesn't happen on PlayStation. It's weird.
It depends on the game. It depends on the game. If I'm playing the Division and something like that, people they want to talk because it's all about strategizing. It's like, yo, Mike. But Call of Duty and stuff, yeah, no one's talking. Which is a good thing because I don't need to hear all
I remember when PlayStation 3 first got online, and a lot of the reporters were saying like, "Yeah, it's really quiet on PlayStation. No one talks." You know,
because PlayStation gamers have been conditioned not to really talk,
and then also not to mention, I'm sure a lot of like, especially when you think about like a lot of the PlayStation stuff, it was just nobody really talked on there.
Yeah, and they didn't really have a headset solution. But anyway, let's move on to the next question here. Black Metal Gamer, who also gave us a super chat tonight. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Black Metal.
All right. His first question is, with Horizon Zero Dawn selling over 7 million copies, do you think the sequel will be made for PlayStation 4, or will it be a launch game for PlayStation 5? I think it's going to be the latter. I think it's going to be a PlayStation 5 game. You know?
Oh, yeah.
I think so, too.
Yeah, they're not going to... think of it this way, they're not going to risk ruining the brand when right now they're sitting on a golden opportunity for a launch game. If they launched another Horizon before PS5 and it didn't carry the brand as well, then they wouldn't have this big successful IP that's almost a guaranteed hit on their hands. They're going to save that shit for the right time, and that right time is going to be launching and pushing a new console.
Yeah, I don't think anyone agree. By the way, I love when you guys right here in the panel have your own private chats because everybody else can see it too. You know, Brett, yeah, super chat is whenever they give us money, that's what a super chat is.
Ah, okay. Well, yeah. I know we had talked about donations, and I know we had talked about super chats, and apparently they're must be coming from different streams. So, yeah, thank you for the super chats, guys. You've been donating money this whole time, and I didn't realize. I thought you were just like giving us a shout out on Twitter or some shit.
Yeah,
super chat is a little extra thing that they added onto YouTube where fans or whatever can do a little donate something like a tip jar, and and they get extra abilities. In fact, we can actually add all kinds of additional icons, kind of like the way Twitch works too, where you can, if you become like a little you throw a little bit of money at them. You get a bunch of extra stuff, and we're still trying to figure out what extra things we could do to put on there.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Appreciate the support, guys. It's reasons like you, or it's people like you that let us do this, because we certainly do not have a big financial backer, and we do this out of passion. So
exactly.
Thanks for keeping the lights on, guys. We'll keep showing up.
Yep. Anyway, I don't think we need to go further with this one. Yeah, it's probably going to be a PS5 launch game, or close to the PS5 launch window.
Well, Just to put a final nail in this coffin, I mean, really think about it. Like, Aloy is a really good, that game is a poster child. Everything about it is built to be a PlayStation poster child. You tell me a game that's going to make a better launch game than that for PlayStation.
Yeah, exactly. And they probably want to bank on her because like they can't really rely on Kratos and Nathan Drake anymore. She's the nice shiny new girl. Put her out
they don't have a better option for a launch game.
Yeah, they don't.
That will be the launch game at the front and center because it's a proven IP. It's not going to be like fucking Knack was, where they're just trying to push this thing out on you. It's been proven, it's asked for, it's high profile, it's going to be in the news. It's a great poster child. It'll be supported by Kratos and Uncharted. Those are going to be your A- team, so to speak. But at the very front of that's going to be Aloy. That there's just the funny thing is that's not really new, because Heavenly Sword was kind of a launch game too, and the protagonist from Heavenly Sword looks a lot like you put a hot redhead on a game cover and people notice. That's just how marketing works.
Apex goes as Aloy the mascot. Now she's a new mascot, that's for sure.
She's one mascot of many.
Yeah,
I mean, Sony's got a lot.
Sony's got a lot.
I would say she's just as much a mascot as Nathan Drake is.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Oh,
or Knack.
If they ever make a new All-Star, PlayStation All-Star, she'll be in that game.
Yeah.
All right, man. Moving on here to the next question. What consoles do you feel have the worst shovelware? What shovelware games have you been burned with buying? I'm going to answer the second part first. I've never bought a shovelware game.
Yeah. I feel like the shovelware department kind of runs in the realm of children's games, because a lot of people just buy those things to kind of babysit their kids. So I would say probably the worst offenders of this is, and this is going into the past, go with the Nintendo Wii, and go with the PlayStation 2.
Yes, those are going to be my answers too.
And PlayStation 1, by the way.
Yeah, but
I want to throw out there before we get too deep in the conversation, and people think I'm being a follower. For drinking the Nintendo Kool-Aid, Nintendo is the worst offender of shovelware of any company throughout every single one of their consoles from the beginning of time.
Yeah, even the NES had a lot of shovelware too. But yeah, Atari. Oh yeah, we almost forgot about Atari.
Atari had the worst, but as soon as Atari crashed, Nintendo has almost always been the worst offender.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that.
I mean, not as much Super Nintendo, but 64 had a lot of trash games. GameCube had a ton of trash games. We had the motherload of trash games.
Yeah, I don't think. Does anybody have anything to add to that? I think, yeah, Wii is like the biggest fucking offender.
Now, have we ever been burned by them?
I have not. Have anybody in here been burned? I haven't.
I was burned by that Wii shooter.
Which one? Wait, well, hold on. Which Wii shooter?
The very first one, the motion control one.
Oh yeah. I think I know which one you're talking about.
No, that's Wii U. I don't know. I actually don't know which game you're talking about.
Red something.
Red Steel?
Was it Red Steel?
No.
I could be wrong. Somebody tell us in the chat, man. But anyway, Adam, what game did you get burned by? Shovelware game.
Well, I'm gonna put it under the title of shovelware as a WWE 2K18 on the Switch. That shit was broken, and it's still broken. And they're like, oh well, it's the WWE game, just enjoy it. It's like, but it's not like it at all. It doesn't even work. I can't even do tag matches and stuff without the shit fucking crashing or slowing down on me. So it's shovelware. It was bullshit. They were just going off for the brand name. Horrible.
Oh, I know mine. Dead Rising for the Wii.
Oh, for the Wii, damn.
Oh, that game was so bad. Okay, so like Dead Rising is about running around in an open environment with not many loading screens, being able to pick up items, combine them together, and fight off zombies, right? That's what the game is. You know what the Wii version was? The Wii version was that you couldn't enter most of the shops in the mall, and the shops that you could had 1 or 2 items in them, and they were ammo for a gun that you carried around.
Wow.
Oh, I remember they added the gun.
And there were like 6 zombies at a time. So basically you just ran around with like this motion control gun, and the whole thing was janky to the point of being broken. Like I was so angry. It was so much. It was not even vaguely the same game at all. And they had the audacity to call it that name.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah, by the way, Apex, we're talking about specifically consoles, but yes, you're right. The biggest offender of shovelware is Steam.
Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah, but we're talking about consoles specifically. Yeah, Steam, whew. He goes, they drop 15 shovelware games a day. That's very true. You know?
It's probably underestimating it.
Yeah, that is true. But yeah, we're talking about consoles here, people. Anybody else shovelware games ever got duped into buying any?
Yeah.
I don't think most of us did.
I think
yeah.
I think I always mention the same game. It's fucking Sub-Zero for the N64.
Oh,
Sub-Zero.
I thought it was a fighting game.
man. No, so nobody here bought the Lee Cabela's hunting game.
No.
One of you motherfuckers bought Link's Bow Trainer. Come on.
You know,
No.
No, I didn't.
Chris probably got that thing from Nintendo.
fucking Barbie horse adventures and shit. You know.
Oh, you know what shovelware? That Wii steering thing for Mario Kart for the Wii.
Was
That
it a
shit was
game?
horrible.
Was it a game?
No,
No, it
he's
came
talking
with the
about
game.
the he's talking about the steering wheel.
Oh,
thing.
that's
No,
not a peripheral.
that's a peripheral, not a
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Let me flip this question on its head. Favorite shovelware?
I don't have
Duck
any
Hunt?
either. That's not shovelware though.
That's not shovelware either.
That's a classic game.
Yeah, because it's.
It was
I mean,
just
it was.
kind of thrown out there, man. It wasn't real
It
deep.
was, yeah, but it still became a classic game. You know, so you can't.
Yeah,
But
but
shovelware can be a good game.
Shovel,
It just means-
shovelware is more like the Bible adventures on NES. You know,
Shovelware doesn't mean bad game. Shovelware just means like it's very easy to produce. It's just kind of shoveled out the door. It was quick, easy to produce, and shoveled out there.
I think we have different definitions of shovel.
I'm thinking shovelware is just
Shovelware
trash
is
and
something
they're putting
you
it out
want
there.
to. Yeah, you want to You want to use a shovel to cover it
Would you
over.
count Seaman as shovelware? Because I would.
No,
but
I
love the
wouldn't.
game.
I wouldn't.
no.
Nope, that's not shovelware.
I agree with Brett.
All right, we have two different definitions, and we're not going to get into that. We're going to get sidetracked for the rest
Manny's a
of the night.
tiebreaker.
It is no. There is no tiebreaker, or there is. Well, Manny already said that's. He agrees with me, don't you, Manny?
Yeah.
Damn it!
Yeah, shovel.
Yeah. I mean, shovelware is the Iron Man game.
yeah,
you know?
you know, exactly. The Thor game, all those
The
movie
Thor game,
license
the
games. Yeah.
Captain America, all those licensed crappy. Those are shovelware games. Those are games that are just taking advantage of shit. Or those other ones where it's like those little cheesy. Here's a question.
Sudoku games, that's shovelware, you know, shit like that.
Sudoku games are a little bit debatable because they're kind of like Tetris. You know what I mean? Like, that would be kind of considering like Tetris, versions of those type of puzzle games, shovelware, which
They do. They're hastily made without much effort. That doesn't make them
Are
a
you
bad
saying
game.
that the guy that created the Tetris just made it in 2 seconds?
No, but every subsequent version has been shovelware.
I don't think what is it? Columns is a piece of shovelware.
I would even call Dr. Mario shovelware.
Yeah, no,
I wouldn't
I think we
wouldn't
have different
consider that.
definitions
Yeah,
of
no.
it. No, it's still, Dr. Mario's not shovelware.
By the way, before we move on, I just want to ask the chat: do you guys think that Duck Hunt is shovelware?
Oh, this is going to be interesting because a lot of our fans are like younger and shit. They may just say
They
yes.
may not play it, actually
They
play
may
it.
not have even heard of it.
What's Duck Hunt?
You
Yeah,
guys automatically assume shovelware means bad game.
yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Shovelware has always been associated with bad games.
Yeah.
Nah, well, I mean, yeah,
It's just like cheap cash grabs.
Yeah, exactly. Cash grab game, shovelware, exactly.
Mhm.
Right.
I mean, here's the thing. I could say that certain games that try to take advantage of other games, like making like a game that sounds like another game.
Oh, what, like the tennis game that just came out on Switch? Just called Tennis? It looks like a weird version of Mario Tennis.
Well, Mario Tennis is the one has kind of always existed in some.
I know, but then there's a tennis game. It's called Tennis.
It's literally just called tennis.
It's
I
just
don't-
called Tennis.
That
and it looks
screams shovelware, you know? All right, man, let's move on here. Dip Dop Dupity. So his first question is, and it's kind of like a multi-tier type of question. So he goes, out of these three options, what is most likely to happen to the Xbox brand in about 7 years as far as console generations go? 1, they take the route as PlayStation, which is they're going to keep releasing iterative consoles and all that shit. 2, have continuous PC-like upgrades and give up on generations entirely. Or 3, give up on console gaming entirely and embrace the PC market to the fullest by making Xbox Live solely a service so it could be a competitor to Steam with exclusive gaming content and still have the Xbox Game Pass. All right, we kind of already said what our answer is, but what do you guys say?
I have strong feelings about this, but I'll let anybody else go first who wants to.
I say B. I still see them making the consoles until they can actually get a strong foothold in the PC space, because we don't know. We don't know if people are. They know it. They can tell how many people are actually playing the cross play and all that stuff. We don't know.
Which one was B again?
Two.
B is that they're going to keep making consoles, but just
No.
B
B
is
is
iterative consoles.
yeah. B is iterative consoles where they're basically going to release a new console maybe every 3 or 4 years, or maybe every year. You know.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. They'll just keep doing it until that burns out. But people don't understand. It's like, yeah, they're not winning this race.
It's already
between the
burned
two,
out.
but they're selling
It didn't turn out
millions.
not burned out.
They're still selling millions. They're still
The
turning a
Xbox One X
profit.
isn't selling for shit.
They're selling. They're making profit. If you've seen their profit
On the
margins,
X.
on the X. On the Xbox brand itself.
No. I'm not talking about Xbox brand. I'm talking about the Xbox One X because we're talking about iterative versions. We're not talking about them putting
we don't know. We don't know yet. We don't know yet.
Them putting out 3 versions of new Xbox. And yeah, the Xbox One X has not sold well. And
We don't know. I mean, it's still sold out.
No,
It's still sold out.
Actually, Brett,
It's sold out.
I think you're gonna say the same thing that I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I'm not talking
No,
about
exactly,
the Xbox.
but
I'm talking about the Xbox One X. The same with. Remember when they came out and said,
Yeah.
"I'm not." Okay, let me try and say this a different
The
way.
X.
I know
Yeah.
what the X is. Let me
Yeah,
try and
it's
say this a
selling.
different.
It's selling.
All right, go ahead, Brett. Go ahead, Brett.
It doesn't make up a large portion of the market share of their profit.
Yes.
And they
Not
have
yet.
come out and said that the Xbox One
Of
X
course.
is not where they're. So
That's the same thing with the Pro, though.
Exactly. So we've shown that having iterative consoles doesn't really increase their revenue all that much. Having 3 versions of one console doesn't really increase their profit margins all that much.
It does, because the PlayStation 4 has sold more last year than it pretty much did almost every other year.
Yeah, but not because of the Pro, because of the PlayStation 4.
No, all 3 or all 2 of them are out in the market.
Yeah, but they've even said that a vast majority of their sales are like, if 10% of their sales are coming from their elite consoles, that means the other 90% of their sales are coming from their regular consoles, which means that having those elite consoles for a 10% boost in market share isn't really the
But they've
end of the
always
world.
done it. I mean, even if it's something small of like, oh, this one comes with a 1 terabyte drive. This one has a 2 terabyte drive. That's still different. And then
That's
people
not
buy
what he's
it.
asking. That's
People
not what
still
he's
pay
asking.
300-400.
Hold on. We're
getting
getting way sidetracked
No,
right
I'm
now.
trying to define. The option A is what PlayStation is doing, where you come out with a console, then you come up with a slim version, and then you come up with one that has, an extra hard drive. That's option A. Option B is having a base version and an elite version. Okay. Option C is gaming as a service. So we can't answer the question correctly unless we properly determine the difference between option A and option B.
Yeah,
so if we're
that's
saying
true.
A slim version or a version with a bigger hard drive, yeah, they've always had that, but that's option A that we're talking about. Option B is iterative versions of consoles, which is a completely
I
different
think they're going to still do it. They're still going to do it until one of them agrees and says, you know what, we've been taking a loss. This was a test, and it didn't work. So it's all right.
Yeah, basically.
I feel like they have had a test of them.
Hold on, just to break it down, with the first part of with the first scenario, basically they release a iterative console in the middle of the cycle, then they come out with a brand new one, right? With B or option 2, basically there are not going to be any more generations. It's going to be like phones, basically, where you just keep upgrading every year and everything works across all the phones. But there's going to come a point where the older phones are not going to accept the newer shit. Understand?
Yep.
So that's the difference between those two. Just to clear that, because we did need to clear that up. My answer is I think eventually, and he did say specifically 7 years, I think Xbox is going to be just a service. It's going to move over to PC. Xbox, maybe they'll have something like a console plug and play something, but I think it's going to be more of a service than anything. It really seems like Microsoft is pushing towards that inevitable. And I know people don't like to hear me say that, but that's everything I've seen. I think that's where Xbox is going. I don't think they're going to be putting out.
I can't rule them out. I can't. Not after. I mean, the same was being said with PlayStation after the big hack and all the problems they were having and all that shit. And people
Nobody said that. Nobody said PlayStation.
Tons of people.
Nobody
that was
said.
Sony
Not that it was going to be a
Pictures.
service. Not that it was going to. No. When PSN got hacked, not just Sony Pictures. When
Nobody said PlayStation was going to be a service.
Not a service. They didn't think it was going to be anything. It was just going to be exclusive games. They were like, oh, Nintendo will just jump in and buy them out because Sony as a whole was financially in the hole.
Yeah, but that's a totally different scenario.
I'm just saying, people were talking smack, and look what
But
happened.
this isn't smack. This is the future of Xbox.
No. But if anybody would have told me that, or even told you, someone say, "Oh, by the way, it's gonna, the PS4 is gonna come out. It's gonna sell gangbusters. It's gonna be #1, and this and this and that." Would you have really said, "Yep, I agree"?
I did say that. I did
not
say
knowing anything.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Go back.
And
I did
say
that.
Fanboyism. That's fanboyism.
How is that fanboyism? How is that fanboyism?
You knew, because if you didn't know anything about it, I'm talking about nothing. You just knew eventually they're going to make a PS4, and you said it's going to be the #1 selling console.
No, what are you talking about? When I saw the PlayStation presentation, I saw the Xbox presentation. I'm like, I know
what it. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. I'm saying if you didn't see it, for those who
didn't
see it,
that's a silly hypothetical. Why are we even going down this road?
Because you brought it up.
No, you are bringing, because I'm trying to get this shit back on track. What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm talking about, listen, slow down. Take a deep breath and hear me out.
No, because you're not making any fucking sense right now, dude.
Then I'll talk real slow for you.
Okay? Like I'm a fucking idiot, really?
Slow. No, what do you want from me? If I already said then I won't say anything. If I can't even say it and I can't even slow it down for you, then I can't talk to you.
Well, talk normal then. Shit. Go ahead.
All I'm saying is that when it got hacked, when PSN got hacked, and then it was down, and then when all the reviews were coming out with PS3 games, and I remember Devil May Cry and stuff saying, "Oh, it's got some glitches, 361 runs smooth." We saw a lot of that for third-party titles. We saw a lot of that, and a lot of people saying, you know what, with all the issues that they're having, and then Sony was coming out saying that they were having issues in other departments, like the electronics wasn't selling, all this other stuff. The movies were the only ones making money, and then that got hacked and had issues. Then they had to sell their building. The company as a whole, not just PlayStation, the company as a whole, it seemed like the only area that was making some money and was having issues was the PlayStation. So a lot of people were saying, well, I wouldn't be surprised if they just went strictly software and just focused on their games, their titles. But what I'm saying is that if somebody at that point said, during that whole discussion, said, you know what, I'm sure they'll make a PS4 and it'll be the best one ever and it'll beat out Xbox and Nintendo, not knowing specs, no, just saying, assuming that they're going to come out with a PS4 and it's just going to be mind-blowing. What's in it? I don't know, but I'm sure it'll be the best. That's what I'm saying. Nobody would have saw that. I know I didn't see that. A lot of people
saw
didn't
that.
see it.
Tony saw that. We called it on the podcast.
On what? Based off of what? Just because
based on the business plans and the past proceedings
yeah.
of the companies that were working, and Microsoft showing an intense amount of hubris and focusing on, even before that E3, focusing on multimedia entertainment and making it no secret that they were trying to rebrand their console as a multimedia thing that hooked into every
again, you're bringing up some more stuff that doesn't count. Doesn't apply. Why doesn't that count?
Adam is saying that without knowing anything about the consoles.
I didn't know anything about Xbox.
I didn't know anything about the consoles either, but I knew about
You said that when they came out and talked.
We are so off track right now. We are so off track right now.
We didn't know that.
Adam, you're supposed to make your point. You're not listening to what I'm saying. I didn't know anything about the Xbox, but what I
said you did.
No, I didn't. What I said is I knew how Microsoft was acting as a company. I knew what their priorities were as a company and how that was most likely going to transfer into their new console before they even announced it. So by those own definitions and parameters, I knew nothing about the console because it had not been released yet. But I was displeased with the way Microsoft was acting as a company, and that brought me over into Sony's waters because I felt they valued my business more without knowing anything about the console.
So then you already decided to switch. So that's a personal choice. You decided to switch based off of no facts, is what you're saying, just because you didn't like what Microsoft was doing.
No, I switched. All
right, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop because people in the chat are getting annoyed right now. So I'm going to stop it right now.
Yeah. So
we went so
let's get back to the actual.
Let's get back to the actual thing. Manny, what do you think is going to be in the future? Out of these three scenarios, which one do you think is the most likely?
I definitely think it's going to be. Also agree what you were saying. I do believe that the Xbox brand or Xbox thing will be the replacement for gaming in the world of Microsoft. It will be. And that will exist not only on the Windows platform, and it will also exist on a set-top box. That's what I think it will be. It'll be like yeah, pretty much like that. Like, in other words, I think it'll just be like that. Like it'll probably be a little bit more stronger than it is now. You know what I mean?
Makes sense. So option A.
Yeah,
Actually, option C or 3.
Because it's just that's always what Microsoft had wanted.
Wait, he said they'd still have a box, though. They'd still have a console.
No, I still think that they would still have a box.
Yeah, maybe it wouldn't be like a console box. Like maybe it would be streaming it off or something.
It would be some form of some sort of console in there in the thing. As you know how like Microsoft not only has tablets, those things still exist in this same sort of ecosystem.
Yeah.
So I think that's
the key difference. And we talked about this before, basically, because right now the Xbox games are on PC. They're just called Windows 10 games. They're all good. Everything's going to be called Xbox eventually, right, Manny?
Yeah, that's what I think. I think that Xbox is going to be replacing the word gaming for Microsoft. When you want to be in the world of gaming, at least for Microsoft, Xbox will be that thing.
Yes,
that's what I think.
I agree.
I think it's option A, at least for the next 7 years. After that, then
yeah. So Carlos, you think?
Thank you.
Yeah. So Carlos, you think it's just going to be business as usual then, right? Okay.
Yeah, because like the whole iterative thing to me is kind of ambiguous to a sense. Like, I think Microsoft wants to have like how like you go from PS3 to PS4, where it's like this huge
thank you,
jump.
Carlos. I'm just gonna cheerleader you this whole time.
So the whole think about the Xbox One X. It's an iterative console, but I don't think what comes after the X is going to be an iterative console, because essentially the Xbox One X is an Xbox One with a better GPU.
No, see, that's the thing. I don't think the next Xbox is going to. I think there is going to be another Xbox.
Oh no! Oh, okay.
Another mainline version.
I don't think it's going to be another one. I think it's going to be because the Xbox One brand, has kind of poisoned things for them. I think what they're going to do is pretty much a little what Nintendo did, essentially putting out exactly what you.
It'll be the Xbox something, but it won't be Xbox One anymore.
It won't be one. But the thing is that I think that they will still keep that sort of ecosystem where you can play it on your console underneath your television. You can play it on your PC. You can play it on your tablet. Something like that, where it's all sort of connected. But
it seems like, from the way we're talking, it seems like there's going to be a little bit of option A and B and C then.
I don't think so. Can I postulate my idea?
Yes.
Postulate.
I like that word. $20 word. Anyway, go ahead.
I feel like there's only one clear avenue for Microsoft to go down that will avoid them folding up as a company, and I think that is the most important thing. First and foremost,
whoa!
I'm gonna break this down.
That's crazy. That's doom and gloom.
They're not gonna fold from Xbox. They'll just kill it.
Let me explain.
It's like all of a sudden Microsoft is just going to go out of business since some Xbox brand is going to.
They could. Let me explain.
No,
if Microsoft tried to go full games as a service, dissolve their Xbox division completely, and just go as Xbox Gaming, a service for gaming that is across your Steam box or whatever it is, that is not produced by Microsoft, and across your PC, essentially going the way of Steam, which is option 3 set out in this scenario. If they did that, they would be going head-to-head against Steam, somebody that they own less market share with and whom they cannot dominate. They have been trying to stake a claim in that market forever, and they cannot overtake Steam. And at this point, I don't think Microsoft has the power to overtake Steam.
Microsoft has something better than that.
Money.
They have an enterprise. Yep, Microsoft Enterprise server.
So why hasn't it?
All over the world
worked so far?
Windows version. No, I'm talking about enterprise. I'm talking about the business world. I'm talking about actual money, not gaming. For Microsoft itself, that's their bread and butter. Office 365. All those.
No. I get that, but we're not talking about their Office.
But you're saying that Microsoft would go out of business.
No, he didn't. He never said that.
That's what he said.
No, he didn't.
Xbox.
Then that's gone. I don't give a shit.
If Xbox tried to become just a game service, they would be competing in a market solely with Steam, who not only has years of being in this market already, they pretty much have it on lockdown. Xbox has been trying to break into their Xbox service on PCs for a while, and while they've had moderate success, they're not going to beat Steam. So you're talking about moving from one market where they're doing not super great and don't have a giant market share to a market where they're doing worse with less market share. If they made that transition, it would be a slow and inevitable death at the hands of Steam.
Valve has the resources to strangle Microsoft out of that market, in my opinion.
See, the thing is that I'm talking about is not exactly talking about Steam. I think of it more of the idea of how you can play a DVD, a DVD on your under your television or any other device. That's what I think. I don't think it's the answer to Steam, but I think it. I don't think they're going to try to directly compete with Steam.
But that's what the question asks. It says so it can be a competitor to Steam. It says that in black and white. So that's what I'm addressing. The option that you're talking about is option A, and that's the one I think is successful. I'm going to get back to in a second. But I want to talk about version 2, where they have iterative consoles, where there is no new Xbox, where there is just half steps progressively, indefinitely from now on. The inherent problem with that is eventually you're going to have to deal with upgrading processors, much like cell phones. So at a certain point, people playing the same game are going to have it running slower than people playing that same game on a different console. That's going to create disparity within the systems themselves, and console gamers are not super happy with that. The bigger problem there, though, is there's no reset button for Microsoft. These generations allow Microsoft to get a head up. They fell behind on this one, but their big chance to get back in the game is to come out with a new version of Xbox, not another half step. If they keep with another half step, they're just going to be stuck trying to pick up the same ball they have now. Their chance to really get a new chunk of market share is to come out with a new version of an Xbox at the same time everybody's coming out with the new version of Sony comes out with the new version of PlayStation, and try and bring over a lot of audience there. So at least for this new generation that's coming up, that will most likely still be in place 7 years from now, they're going to focus on bringing a new console to market so that they can capture new market share. Otherwise, if they just try and pick up with this continued thing where there's never going to be a new Xbox, it's just iterative generations after this, they're not going to have the oomph and the pow that Sony does when they come out with the PS5. And that's going to hurt them in the market in the long run. And so that's why I don't think that they'll choose that option. Now, option A, what we're already kind of doing, where you have a mainline console, you may have an elite version, you may have a version with a bigger hard drive, you still have options for customers there, but you still have clear defined generation lines. And those clear defined generation lines allow you to make very crucial improvements to the system, like processing power, like system architecture, things that need to honestly be revamped as technology advances. So because of all of these things, I really honestly only see option A kind of doing what we're doing now as the only realistic answer, because the other two kind of break down under intense scrutiny.
Yeah, and Adam, what do you think?
But I said it. I think they're just going to keep making consoles and do the same thing that they're doing now. We'll see another one. It won't be called Xbox One X or anything. They'll just keep making different names. It works in the cell phone market. This is cheaper. And I think this is the route they'll go because people like new things. And that's what they want to do. They just want to give people new things.
The Xbox 2 coming in 2020.
I definitely think that the big thing that's going to happen with Xbox is they're going to drop the One, and I feel like they kind of should have, if they really wanted to kind of push this the new Xbox X, they really should have went with the Scorpio name.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't.
Yeah, they should have.
They really should have tried to differentiate that thing, because again, it's that they have that stigma. It's like Nintendo deciding to come out with the Wii U. We come out with the Nintendo Switch and calling it the Wii U 2.
Well, even with the One, I mean, it was like, what was it? The Durango. You know, it's like almost every model that they've had a different name. X360 also had one.
Oh no, but I'm saying that, because the brand has a little bit of that stigma that's come from behind it, which is officially they've essentially cut pretty much all those things that they talked about in that initial presentation when they first showed the Xbox One. Pretty much all that stuff is gone.
I disagree.
So I think that here's the thing. They've introduced those sorts of things in a different way when they've actually been able to explain what a lot of it is. A lot of games are mostly online. You are in order to take part in Xbox Live, you kind of have to be always online. I understand that, but I think the thing is that I think a lot of that stuff they've been able to explain the reasons why some of these things are better than others, as opposed to when they first started, where they're just saying, okay, it's always online and you have to use a camera and all these other things that gamers did not want to hear at the time. So I feel like a lot by rebranding the Xbox itself, it would be able to
What
get
was
past
that?
that stigma.
What's that new department that they announced last week? Right? Did you hear about that? Remember that new event, and they said that they're going to start announcing it's a whole new team to better clarify what's happening in the universe of Xbox.
They need to do that so bad.
What was it? They announced it.
No, I don't even know about that.
remember.
Anyway, I
Anyway,
want to move on to the
the
next
point
question.
is, it's like it seems like they are planning something, and they're going to have a department just for it.
Yeah. Anyway, that's actually a good segue to our next question because it's still about Xbox. It's still about Xbox. The next question. We just been on this one for too damn long. Okay, if Xbox were to arguably win the next generation of consoles, what kind of revolution would Xbox need to accomplish this? Excluding first-party content, would it be something like having Xbox Live? The way Xbox Live revolutionized online gaming back in the 360 era. So, what would be the big thing that Microsoft could do with the next console generation that could just put it over the top?
It doesn't need to be a big thing.
Well, that's what he wants. He wants to know he wants something akin to online gaming.
I get that, but I think the realistic response here is the thing that's going to win the next generation is the console with the best specs, the best UI that hits the market first at a reasonable price. And it's as simple and as lame as that. If Microsoft comes with higher specs, a decent price, and hits the market in any kind of time before the PlayStation, you'll see a mass migration. Games are going to matter.
That's exactly what happened with the 360.
360, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. They were there. They were there first. They were cheaper, and they had a lot of the games that people wanted to play.
Yeah,
that's all you really need.
That the PS3 was more powerful. People didn't care.
Yeah, you got to think of it like everybody's got a little pouch of money, and that's their gaming money. It's whoever gets to that pouch of money first, then that's the console that they get. Like if Sony's the second one to that pouch of money, oops, there's not enough money there for a console anymore. And
then also you think about it from this current generation. The Microsoft was saying a lot of things that people did not like. They also had a console that was weaker than the competition. And they cost more.
Mm-hmm. And by the time that they fixed it, it was everybody had already spent their console allotment. It's not that Microsoft has been a bad brand. They cleaned their shit up pretty quick, but by the time they did, everybody had invested their money for this console generation just about as much as they were going to. And so you can't be the second one to the buffet line in this business.
But you can be the third guy.
Apparently.
Can I give the realistic answer?
Go for it.
Uh-oh.
I don't think Microsoft's next console will beat Sony's.
I agree.
I'm not trying to sound like a fanboy or anything, but we already saw during the 360 era like a lot of things go right. The one year time span where they had an advantage. They had the best online network. They had a lot of the exclusive deals. A lot of the games came out first for Xbox. Not only that, but third-party games performed better on Xbox. A lot of things went right during the 360 era, and they still didn't outsell the PlayStation 3, which is fucking crazy. So
they started going bad towards the end of the 360 era. Don't forget the whole Red Ring thing. Like I'm still convinced that hurt quite a bit.
No, that totally hurt.
But here's the thing though. People wanted it to buy a PlayStation 3 over Xbox 360. It's just it cost too much fucking money, and the 360 was already out there, so here's what got a 360. And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna get in trouble for this. I believe one of the reasons that the Xbox 360 sold so much, especially in the beginning, was because of the Red Ring of Death. People kept buying 3 or 4 or 5 consoles and shit.
I think a big factor, and we're not talking about it, but we talked about it before on PlayStation. It was trophies, achievements. I know a lot of people that really got into achievements.
Yeah.
And they even jumped over from getting, besides the price and all that PS3, they were like, man, I could actually like catalog and keep track and get these points. And wow, it actually means something now. This game actually has some more value to it. And people got hooked on Chivos.
Yeah,
Chivos.
That was it. You know, and then at the time for what was it? It was a few years before trophies jumped in.
Oh
So
yeah,
people weren't,
yeah,
and people weren't sure if
years.
that was
Yeah,
people weren't sure if that was ever going to happen. They're like, "Yo, Chivos, this is awesome." You know, I love
give me a
keeping
bag
track.
of Chivos, man.
Yeah, and that became, but
You
that
know?
became that changed everything from just leaderboards to, well, did you beat this? Did you do
Personal
that?
gaming,
I took
gaming
a-
cred.
yeah, exactly. It's like, I know you didn't because I got it. Or did you see in Gears? I just got 10,000 kills.
Yo,
Oh,
man,
how do I know? Because I got a Chivo for it, and you don't.
Yo, man,
So,
I got a million.
Yeah,
$1
go ahead.
million Zenny on fucking Monster Hunter, but I got a bronze trophy. Yo, get the fuck out of here. That's not even my game of the year anymore. Fuck that game.
I think Adam's hitting on something really important here, and I think this is kind of something we touched a little bit on in the early part of the episode. Xbox gamers are by their very nature competitive. These same bro gamers, as we call them, and let's be honest, bro gamer is a dated term. The Mountain Dew, the Doritos, this is an idea of something that was happening 8-10 years ago. So these same people that were shoveling Doritos and drinking Mountain Dew, honestly, are probably a little bit older right now. They've outgrown that phase of their life, but their personality is still the same. Xbox gamers are highly competitive. They want to compete against other players. They want to kill other players. They want to score higher than other players. They want to have more Chivos than other players. That has always been a Microsoft thing. I really think that Microsoft needs to focus on that. They really need to, build up the idea of like, you want to compete with your friends? We'll let you compete with your friends. They really need to focus back on these multiplayer games and not necessarily Destiny type shit, but let Sony do the narrative thing.
They brought those tournament things where you can create your own tournaments with games for you and your friends and stuff like that. So they're trying to get into that.
And I think that's going to be their new brand. And I think that's how they will come back, is they come back with a good system, and they'll need some games to support it. But, even if Sea of Thieves doesn't turn out to be a great game, they're going towards the right direction. That is something, that game strikes me as something that you probably wouldn't see on PlayStation. And if you did, it might not get the biggest reception because it doesn't really pander towards the Sony audience. But that doesn't mean it's a rowdy party game, or it's shallow, or it's stupid, or anything like that, or even if it's a bro game. It's just something about that game, and I can't tell you what put it into focus for me. That seems like a very Xbox type game. Run around an open world, fuck with other people, have fun with your friends. That seems like where Microsoft should focus. And also, while I'm on the point, fix your goddamn naming strategy. As somebody who's even looking into picking up an Xbox so I can play Sea Thieves, I'm on a gaming podcast, and your naming system is still stupid and confusing to me. There's the S, there's the X, there's the there's the Xbox One, the Xbox One S, and the Xbox One X. And that is confusing. To an average consumer, it is damn near indecipherable. You have your Xbox One, which isn't really being sold anymore because it's discontinued, which makes your Xbox One your standard edition, even though it's not your standard edition, and it's actually slightly upgraded from what was the standard edition, but is now now discontinued. And on top of that, you have a premium edition, but that's not the premium edition that's better than the original edition. That's the premium edition that's better than the new edition, which is actually better than the original edition that is now discontinued. That's too fucking much. It's too goddamn much for a normal person to understand what the fuck is going on. Next time you go around, don't name it Xbox One or put an X or a stupid number behind it. Just fucking call it like Xbox Blue and give it a blue light with a black back panel so that everyone's like, ooh, it's futuristic. They made a design change, and just fucking go from to have a big blue X and just call it Xbox Blue.
No, you gotta be green, gotta be green, gotta be green.
But it'll also still cause problems, even if they gave them all their own names.
Xbox
Bob,
Green.
Ted, Julie, Jim. You still need somebody to explain what's the difference between
Jim. Or they could just call it, Xbox 720.
What about just like Xbox Silver, Xbox Gold, and Xbox Platinum? Those are your different fucking versions.
Now you're naming their marketing. Their
and that's fine. That is fine.
No, you're
literally naming it PlayStation shit like blue, platinum. Come on, you can't do that. Man.
The only two places you got out there is the one, the Pro, and then the other one. It's still called PlayStation Pro.
Yeah, no, it's PlayStation 4 and then PlayStation 4 Pro. That shit is simple. You cannot get more simple than that. Which one's the better one? The one that says Pro, idiot. Okay, cool. I get that. But still, going out now as I go out and I look into the wild, there are three versions of Xbox.
Why didn't they just call the Xbox One X the Xbox Elite?
Because they have a different Elite.
No, well, they have.
And then also, if
wait,
that
don't
was
they
the
have?
case,
Wait, there's an elite. There's already elite. An elite
they had
Xbox?
they used to call it
360.
the 360 Elite, and then they also have the Elite controller, and that's what also a lot of people that I know were pissed about that did get.
Yeah,
the
why
X.
didn't the
Why
Xbox
didn't
One
it
X come with
come with an Elite
elite
controller?
controller?
Yeah, why didn't it come with an Elite controller?
So
My point, none of this makes any fucking sense, Microsoft. Get your shit together.
Yeah, like
I
if this is supposed to be the console for the big super gamer, right? Why doesn't it come with the awesome controller? I would
Super gamer.
Yeah, it's like it's the gamer that cares about the frame rates. It's the gamer that cares about the thing. It cares about all that sort of stuff.
They care about their KDR, and that's affected by their frame rate.
Mhm.
That's what it's all. And that's why I say
Exactly.
they're a competitive group. Xbox players are way more competitive than PlayStation players. Let's be honest here.
Oh yeah, that goes without
Gotta shoot
question.
them in the face.
So
Gotta
I
shoot them
think-
in the face.
I think they should. The naming structure is not too much of a problem. I just think they should have done
X and
Xbox
S.
One Slim, Xbox One Slim, or Xbox One Pro or something like that. Xbox
Or-
One Premium.
I would have said Scorpio.
I
Pick
wouldn't.
Scorpio.
I wouldn't, and here's why.
Oh no, because it's S and S. It would be two S's. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not the reason. Like, if the Xbox One X was called Xbox Scorpio, then people would think it's a new console, but it really isn't. That's the whole issue with the iterative stuff. Like, it's an iterative upgrade. It's not that much of an upgrade as compared to like going from one generation to the next. So when people see Xbox Scorpio, people are going to think that this is a new generation of systems, but it's not really representing that. It's representing something that's just iterative. So when the new generation console comes out, it's going to be like, why do I want to upgrade to this if the previous generation came out 2 years ago?
You know what it reminds you of with when the iPhone went through the S route.
Yeah.
When they announced the 4S, and people are like, wait, is this a new one? It's like, no, this is a special, this is a side piece. What is it? You know what I mean? And it's like, well, it's sort of new, but it's not fully new. There is a 5 coming. Oh, yeah? So why should I get the 4S? Well, it can do a lot more than what the current one can do. So if your current one, which is already 2 years old, is running sluggish and with newer apps, this can support those. And so a lot of people did it. They're like, oh, okay, because it seems to work. Because then now there's a 5S and there's a 6S, so
But
that model worked.
do you think the console, especially Microsoft crowd, would deal with that? Because
That's
the
what
way-
we're experiencing now. We'll see.
Here's-
If they decide not to do it for the next go, then we know it didn't work.
they're not really doing it now because they're promising system parity. They're promising that the game will run on my system just as well as it runs on your system, even if it's the X version. It might look prettier on yours, but it'll run the same. And that's because they basically have the same processing power. The second you start making huge changes to that hardware, you are going to have systems where I'm playing on my Xbox on Call of Duty, and you are getting a better performance on your Xbox of Call of Duty, which means that I'm losing because of my Xbox. And I don't feel a market that is that competition oriented are going to feel good about it. Every gamer hates when it's their controller or the console genuinely that caused them to lose. And while some people might argue that that's a selling point for their high-end consoles, I don't.
Unfixable. We're seeing that now with speeds. I know people that have 1 gigabit. A lot of people in my job, we have 1 gigabit. And then when we go to play online and multiplayer games, there is a latency balancing issue. And they were taking screenshots and their little videos. They're like, they're clearly shooting first, but then they're dying first. They're like, but I had the first shot. We got to compensate for your high speed. So the person who with the bad connection gets the first shot. And that has nothing to do with performance. That's just networking. And that's a big
still
part
a
of just the
problem,
multiplayer.
though.
It is a problem, which is why when it comes to those competitions and competitive ones for Call of Duty, it's all LAN. They can't do anything over the internet. People are like, why can't I compete over the internet? Why can't they do it online? Because it wouldn't be fair. It just doesn't work that way.
So if you think you breed more unfairness into it through, highly different consoles, I mean, I realize that it's already kind of a problem, but it seems like I don't know if console players would really swallow that. I mean, you'd have the few that are like, yeah, I bought the best console so I can win. But the people who are on the back end of like that, I feel like they'd be like, I bought an Xbox 4 years ago, and now they're making games for it that are already slugging out. Like, the same problems you're having with iPhone. Like, I just bought an iPhone 3 years ago, and it's already acting sluggish because they keep upgrading the operating system. And now I got to buy a fucking new one. You know what? I'm going to buy a Samsung or whatever because they're not doing that shit. I've heard so many people jump off the Apple bandwagon in the last 3 to 4 years because of the fact that their iPhones are slowing down as the generations progress.
And also, let me also add. It's also because they do a lot of stuff in the background that they didn't do before. That's what's causing it to slow down. So you actually have to go through your system and turn off a bunch of shit to get it to run right.
Yeah, but that problem would still arise in iterative consoles.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like, and I feel like while you deal with that on your phone, you're not competing with somebody to make a phone call. You're not using your leisure time to try and access the internet as fast as humanly possible. The second that starts affecting your KDR is when people are going to start really like, it's not fair that this guy has a console and I shouldn't have to spend $400 every year for my game not to run like shit. Like I feel like there's too much potential for backlash there. Maybe that's just me.
It's one of those things, though. We're seeing it now. People don't know what they have until they compare it to somebody who has something better, and they're like, oh, shit. It's like we hear it all the time you could watch the videos of like what a game looks like on a PS4 and a PS4 Pro, but then when you actually, the big one was the Monster Hunter. You hear a lot of people saying that it looks amazing on the Pro compared to the 4. It's like a night and day type of comparison.
But it doesn't run any better is the thing.
For some of them, some people say it does.
Well, on the Pro, it runs at 60 frames per second, but since it's not a PvP game, it doesn't really matter,
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like a PvP game where somebody's running 60 frames per second, they're going to have an advantage over the person that's running 30 frames per second.
But that's what I'm saying. A PvP, the kill death ratios, that's all off of your network connection. That's what really plays the fact. It doesn't matter how good it looks. You'll look great dying constantly if your connection is better than someone that has a poor connection. They get first shot. It's just the balancing.
No. What about in a single player game, though?
No, single player. That's something. Single player is why I'm bringing up the Monster Hunter. People are saying that the Pro one looks better and performs better as opposed to the PS4 standard.
I'm not talking about performing better. I'm talking about so you own, say, the original Xbox, not even the S, the original Xbox, and you go to play Monster Hunter on it, but it is lagging and it keeps shuddering and it can't keep up with the game because, quite frankly, the game is too new for it. That means technically that you should be going out and buying a new Xbox because you're in.
Is there which game does that? Is there a game that does that now that just can't perform?
I don't think so, but we're not in true iterative generations. We're just in kind of half steps. We're still making.
The day that comes, then all hell's going to break loose because people. That's a lawsuit right there.
And that's my point. So I don't think that we'll ever see true iterative generations. We'll see a console and a Pro version of a console, sure, but I don't think we'll ever just see, Xbox, 4.5, then Xbox 5, then Xbox 5.5, and there's never really a clear, like, this is for all Xboxes, this is, it'll still say this is for Xbox version blank and up kind of thing, if they even did that. So there'd still be clear generation lines, I think.
I mean, you hear both of them have both said that the games are going to carry over. They're like, oh, don't worry about it. It's backward compatible, but I don't even think they're going to use that word anymore. It just carries over. Yeah, that's one, like you said, they'll say numbers at the bottom of which one it supports. Oh, it'll play your PS4 and then 5, PS5, PS6. Maybe when you get the PS7, PS4 drops off and becomes like a service type of thing, like the way PS3 games were. I think that's going to be the pattern. We see it with the phones. We just have to follow the phones because that's what they're doing. And it's the same thing with apps. If a developer doesn't keep supporting it and doing stuff, then it gets dropped off. But it worked on my last phone. And it was like, yeah, well, it's not going to work on this new hardware. So,
but that's the way phones work, but that's not the way PCs work.
Yeah, guys, let's move on, man. We're staying on this too much.
I thought we were at the end of the show.
No, we're not. We still have 6 more questions, man.
Oh, fuck, let's go.
You guys are just going off topic tonight, man. All right, the next one is from Roman Ronan, who's back. We haven't had anything from him in a while.
Mr. Roman, welcome back.
Mr. Roman Ronan. All right, so his first question is, the Thunderjaw is obviously the most iconic beast from Horizon Zero Dawn. Is there a particular Colossus from Shadow of the Colossus that you believe is the most iconic? Based off trailers and general fan artwork, I'd say it's either the first, the third, or the 13th. You kind of just answered the question right there, bro.
Yeah, you just said it. That's it right there.
You just answered the question. So we'll move on to your next one. And it is, I'll try not to make this too long. I've been playing Nier Automata, and I can't lie, going back to the abandoned factory with the religious robots ranks as one of the most unnerving game experiences for me. It's not scary. He goes, it's not scary, but everything about that level, the damn music had me on edge and made me want to get out of there as soon as possible. Is there any game or levels and areas that have affected you guys in the same way?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with the factory because it has that kind of depressing song, that plays in there. And then especially with the later shit that happens, with all the religious shit that happens at the end. Yeah, that's some pretty crazy stuff. But places that I never wanted to be.
Yeah, like when you're playing a game, it's like, I don't like being here, bro. I don't like this shit.
I didn't, I didn't have that much of an aversion to that thing, but I can understand where he's coming from on that one. There was, you know what? Actually, I would say that for a whole game. The Naughty Dog game.
Last of Us.
Last of Us. That game I didn't want to be in. I didn't like being in.
Yeah, mine answer is Resident Evil 7. Holy shit. But the thing is, here's the thing, because I've been bouncing this question around my head like for a good chunk of the day. I know for a fact there are certain, like, I like the whole game, but there's just always that one part I'm like, shit, I don't like this. But I'm blanking on it right now. So yeah, Resident Evil 7, that whole thing, I couldn't play more than an hour of that game a day because it was just so like intense, you know?
When you're going down the stairs, like when you're barely entering into the house, you're like, fuck. Like, it's so, man. Like, the tension is crazy.
Yeah, you can't handle that. It's like too compressed. You know, so yeah, definitely that for me. But I'm blank. I know for a fact there's certain areas or certain types of levels that maybe go, no. I want to get the fuck out of here right now, bro. I don't want to deal with this shit. But I'm blanking on it right now. Anyway, Carlos, you got another one besides Resident Evil?
So I just want to touch a little bit on the near stuff, that factory with the things that was pretty fucked up. Especially also with when you get to the carnival place.
Yeah, the amusement park.
The amusement park. So here's the thing that happened with me. So I went into the amusement park. I saw all those things there, and I started killing them.
Yeah,
because that's my first instinct.
That's your instinct.
And
but go keep going.
And then I noticed that they were friendly people, and I was like, I'm so fucked up.
Yeah, the game does that to you too, because like even in the field, there are enemies there are little robots that will not attack you. They'll just stand there. And the only time they actually attack you is if you attack them. Mm-hmm. So for me, when I went into that area, I was just like running around because I usually, the way I play is that if something attacks me, I attack back. So when I went in there, I was like, holy shit, these things are not doing anything. None of them. But, but you're kind of like, but it's kind of a weird, it kind of sets you on your edge because if you think about it, it's like, you're programmed to think, okay, these guys are the enemies. These guys are the things that you always kill because you've been killing them for X amount of hours. Yeah. Then to have a whole place of them just be kind of docile. And it just kind of makes you think like, oh, wait, you're essentially being racist.
Yep. So another one, I mean, No Russian is something that I think everyone that's played it kind of sees disturbing. Like, I'm like, yeah, man, I don't want to be a part of this. I just want this fucking part to end because it's so fucked up, man. So yeah, that's it for me.
Cool. Brett.
Of course, I don't have a simple answer. I would say Hellblade, but that's pretty personal with me. Like that whole thing was, I know the game is supposed to be that way, but I was dealing with some of my own demons at the time that coincided really closely with that. So that whole game was very arduous for me to play, but at the end of the day, honestly, really good for me. And I hold it up as one of those games as art. Games can have a positive impact on your life, even when it's hard. Like the game is weirdly helpful to me getting through my grief, but that's pretty personal and something that a lot of people won't share. Yeah. I have a really weird fascination with those kinds of things. I almost like being psychologically tortured, not in a way that like jump scares or anything like that, but for instance, Rapture comes to mind. Like part of me had this like utter despair, like what the fuck happened here in Rapture, but that's also part of the fun of it. And the thing that made you want to explore it is how did this glorious thing become so horribly fucked up? So even though it kind of made me really uncomfortable, it was a very intriguing uncomfortable. The biggest one probably has to be, and this is weird to say, the first Dark Souls. I had a lot of trouble. I actually didn't play it through my first time playing because just the atmosphere of emptiness and despair and decay. It wasn't even fear. It's just this kind of edge of your seat, kind of like uncomfortable mixed with this kind of hopeless, dead, decaying vibe. And they did that very intentionally, but it's very heavy. And every one of the Souls games has kind of repeated that, but there's almost a sort of catharsis into throwing yourself into that nightmare until it becomes comfortable. Bloodborne's a great example. That place is nothing but fucked up. But after a while,
yeah.
After a while, you own that fucked up, and you kind of feel like I'm the biggest monster in this horrible place, and that's a really kind of cathartic, cool feeling. So it didn't drive me off, but I definitely had those feelings from just about every Souls game.
I would also agree on Hellblade. I did feel a bit, like that, because I do know people who do have psychosis and issues like what Senua had in that game. And to imagine how many, like, especially when you play the game with your headphones on, to just have that many voices, which are not your own, talking to you in your head, telling you all kinds of different things that are wrong. I can't imagine. It made me think about those people that I know that have these issues, and just be like, is this is what it's like, where you just don't have clarity. There's just all these fireworks going on in your head, and you can't stop it. That made me think about it a lot more. Because,
and how valuable is that? Though?
Because you can never explain to somebody exactly what's going on in your head. You can only you can express it in certain ways by speaking, but some people can't even begin to even express that, and to actually experience that is pretty crazy. So for that game, I actually did play fairly slowly because I felt overwhelmed just by the sheer fact of how many. It's like being in a room and with a room and not being able to focus anybody else out. Which is kind of interesting. They call that thing the focus. Whatever. Go ahead.
All right, Adam.
The Suffering. That was did that come out? Yeah, I think it came on PlayStation, but I played it on Xbox originally. You're in a prison, you have a flashlight, batteries are constantly running out. You hear a lot of screams and moans and stuff going on in there. That made me uncomfortable. Silent Hill. PlayStation 2, that really bothered me, especially when you knew the time was coming when that horn and everything changed. It was like, oh shit! It's like one of those games where it's like, yeah, I want to play it, but then I don't want to play it. The Last of Us, going back to it, like when I beat it, I was like, oh, that was an amazing story. Then when they did the remaster, I picked it up. I'm like, yeah, I can't wait. Once I jump back in, I'm like, this looks great. This looks even worse. No, I can't. It's like too good, too dark. I just can't. It made me uncomfortable just to know that I had to relive a lot of those parts, or replay a lot of those parts that were just disturbing. So those are the ones for me. Those are the big three that keep popping in my head.
I got one. You just reminded me. One is a game, both Rockstar games though. Manhunt. That whole game was fucking disturbing.
Oh man,
that whole game. And then there was this one mission in GTA 4. Because remember, GTA 4 is a little bit more of the serious game, right? There was this one mission where you're helping this one guy, you're kind of just chauffeuring him from place to place. But as you keep talking to him, you find out, oh shit, this guy's a fucking serial killer. And
I remember.
But they didn't remember, Adam. They didn't present it as a joke. It was serious. So when he's telling you, he's like, "Oh yeah, I found the football player and I raped him and killed him and shit." And Nico has his face like he's horrified. It's like, damn, like that whole mission was fucked up. And again, they didn't play it for jokes like usual GTA does. That shit was crazy. So I like the fact when I got to kill that motherfucker. Yeah, that was sick. All right. Next question from my man All Day Digital, who I remember seeing in the chat earlier. Are any of you guys interested in? Oh, my bad. Oh no, I thought I skipped the question. Anyway, he goes, are any of you guys interested in State of Decay 2? And did you guys see the IGN gameplay? No to both of those. Don't care about State of Decay 2. And I didn't see the gameplay. Don't care.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything about it. To be honest, I don't actually know anything about State of Decay.
It's a zombie game.
Yeah, and you see that now. There's that.
It's more of an RPG, though. That's the thing. It's sort of like what you said with Survival, the Metal Gear Survival. It's like
it's almost DayZ.
It's DayZ. Yeah,
DayZ.
That's already a combination that I'm not actually.
Yeah, survival and zombie. You turn me off.
You go in, find supplies. You don't have to interact with the zombies. You can go in, you find supplies, you find people, you bring them back to your camp, you fortify your camp, you try to find other people, and bad people come around. zombies and other bad groups. You know, it's one of those things. It's like almost like The Walking Dead. You know, it's all right.
It's
But this one is
DayZ.
gonna be cool. Yeah, it's DayZ.
It's
a
literally
co-op
DayZ.
Yep.
This is you can follow a direct quote unquote genetic trail all the way back to DayZ. This is a game that was born out of that boom. And quite frankly, I'm fucking stupid excited about it.
Okay, I was going to ask you that one because
See,
Brett,
when we
got
can
an
play
X-
that one because
yeah,
that one has co-op.
Yeah, I'm
That's the
like
cool thing
Brett,
about bringing that
you have an Xbox. Or you're thinking about getting an Xbox. There you go.
Yeah, I didn't play the first one because I didn't have an Xbox, and it came in a group of games that was all trying to share in DayZ's success, and so it was a lot of clones. So it was really tough to pick out which ones were good versus which ones weren't. And so State of Decay, by the time I kind of figured out that it was kind of a keeper, it was already a bit past its prime, and I didn't have an Xbox, so it just kind of missed me. And so I'm taking this as basically the natural evolution of what DayZ was. So I'm very excited, especially now that I'm considering having an Xbox.
Well,
Yeah, I had it on Steam before Microsoft bought them. You know, and it was just like a Steam game, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Microsoft bought it, and at least now you can play on both. So if you have a PC, it's one of those Windows Anywhere games.
Is it
Yeah,
crossplay?
I don't have Windows 10, but that's why I'm thinking about picking up an Xbox. But yeah, it's these games are really fun. And the thing I would say to people like Tony and Manny who are like, I'm sick of zombie games. You can replace the zombies in these games with literally just about any other monster. It doesn't matter what the monster is. It's the mechanics of the rest of the game. These could be orcs. These could be.
But that's the point. I've always said I don't like. I'm annoyed by melee enemies. I call them those enemies that are brilliant and just run at you. That's it. I'm like, I don't like that shit. You know, in any.
But
game.
you like them to shoot at you?
No, yeah, I would prefer them to shoot because at least I know I'm facing something that's intelligent. I just, you know, it's like, come on, that's
Aren't all the enemies in Horizon melee enemies?
They're not though, because they're, you know, melee enemies are typically weak little enemies that come at you in hordes, right? If you're facing one giant monster, that's a totally different thing, you know.
That's like I would have to say, like, even in like Mass Effect, like having the stupid come after you, where they just mob you, they just run straight at you like fucking of Serious Sam.
Yeah, I don't like those enemies.
I don't want to be. I would much rather if it was another intelligent sort of enemy.
Yeah,
or, you
exactly.
know,
or something. There's something that requires like strategy, like a giant monster. You know what
rather
I mean?
than you just kind of pointing your gun forward and just shooting at every single
with those enemies, like, you know how you have to like zoom in and shoot. With those, don't zoom in, just shoot randomly, and you're gonna kill them all. It's stupid. I don't like those kind of enemies in games. You know,
it's kind of, well, and while I agree with that, I think honestly it's a bit of a horseshoe kind of thing. Dying Light was a good example. When you have enough stupid enemies, they make their own corridors. They make their own sort of strategy. And games like State of Decay or good quote unquote zombie games take advantage of that because, like Adam says, you don't have to deal with the zombies. You can pull up onto a hill, check out the situation, figure out a way in, throw a firecracker off to the right that pulls the enemy's attention over there, run in, grab your supplies, jump back in the car, and go back out. You can make it a very tactical game.
Crawl through a window.
Yeah, it's generally a bad idea in a truly good zombie game. It's a bad idea to start shooting at zombies because that's very loud.
It's very detailed. Like if you're walking and if, let's say, there's glass, it'll make the crackling noise. So you have to be very cautious about what you're walking on, where you're at, how close are these things. If there's one that's circling around, is he going to be aware? If there's brush, if I crouch down, is it tall enough to cover me? Those type of things. Pretty cool.
So it almost takes on an Assassin's Creed type thing, but quite a bit more freeform. So it's a stealth game essentially, is what it comes down to. It's a stealth game that's very freeform and very situational. So while I get that a lot of people don't like zombie games, I'm trying to explain to the people who don't why some people do. It's not the zombies. It's not like you see a game that has zombies and you're like, oh, I want to play this game. It's that if done right, a zombie game can put in certain factors, certain ways to play a game. And it could be, zombies, it could be giant mechanical spiders, it could be orcs, it could be Templars, it could be any number of things, but an open world where you kind of have to judge and gauge how to get in and out of places to get the things that you need. And oftentimes supplies, or a survival game makes for a really good thing because
it avoids the power creep. It avoids the I'm getting exponentially more powerful by I have maintenance things that I have to get. Now I have these hurdles in front of these maintenance things that I need to get. And so it tends to actually extend gameplay for some people.
And people can die. Your groups in your group can die. So you can have one guy and you can give him all the great weapons or whatever. And he can come out on a mission with you and he can just die. And it's like, oh shit, that was a guy I worked on for a long time, and
that sounds like a waste, you know. By the way, I do need to add, because I know Carlos wants to say, I do quickly need to add. This is also the reason I don't like Dynasty Warrior games. It's just a bunch of stupid enemies that you hack and slash without thinking about it, you know.
But you like Assassin's Creed.
But Assassin's Creed, you don't do that. You have to actually think. You actually have to think. You don't just like wildly kill everything, you know. You have to think.
That was my point. You're not supposed to wildly kill everything in these games. This isn't The Last of Us.
Yeah, but the thing is, like,
even in The Last of Us, you don't wildly kill everything.
Yeah, no, you don't. You definitely don't want to do that. But again, even Last of Us, I'm like, I like the game despite the fact that it had zombies. You know, that was the turnoff for me for that game. And also the survival. You know me, I don't like survival shit. That's very annoying. So it's like you're giving me two things I don't really like. But anyway, Carlos, get in here. State of Decay. Come on, Carlos. I know you wanted. You were trying to say something before.
I was just gonna say that it's $30, so it's like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like that was how much their complete edition, their upgraded version cost. Remember when they did the upgraded version? Yeah, we could play.
So
and you guys could stream it too, please. I don't have to be on every one of these fucking things.
if Sea of Thieves isn't good, I'll buy you State of Decay instead.
When's the release date?
I'd rather play Sea of Thieves over the State of Decay. I'll be honest right now. If I had a gun in my head, I'm like, I'll play the pirate game over the zombie game. You know,
but this is a zombie game that we all get to play and we sneak around and we got each other's backs. Like, we need a distraction. All right, who wants to be a distraction? I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna set up.
So you could also play Metal Gear Survive and get that same experience.
Exactly.
Not for that price.
Actually, Metal Gear Survive is $40.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's $40, so it's $10 more.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's an answer.
So you can pay to get mad at pay to get mad at Konami, or you can pay to be like, all right, this is the other version which doesn't have these things in it.
I think State of Decay 2 will look better.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. This is also about the zombie games. What are your top 3 favorite zombie games, and what are your top 3 worst zombie games?
Interesting.
And whoever wants to jump in.
Top 3 and top worst. Top 3 good.
Yeah, name your top 3 that you feel are the best or your favorites, and then name 3 that you think are shit.
Resident Evil, the Dead Nation, the top-down shooter.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Oh yeah.
And let's see, last one.
Can I make a clarification before you go, Manny?
Oh yeah, sure.
Is Last of Us a zombie game?
I can for this question, yes.
I would consider it a zombie game. So yes.
Okay.
And that's my third. So the worst ones. Again, for me in zombie games, it's like I'm either invested or I'm not. So I don't usually I would think of worst is as of games that I've played, and I don't play a lot of zombie games in general. So I can't really think of any of the ones that I think are the worst, because again, it's like zombie games are not something that I really care for that much, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I can't really name least favorites, but I know definitely Resident Evil. What I like about Resident Evil is unlike other zombie games, it's not post-apocalyptic. It's still taking place now, in the real world. I like that, and the whole science thing behind it, like where those zombies came from, what made them, and all that. But definitely you already know my answer. Yeah, Resident Evil 4 for sure, because those things were zombies, but they kind of weren't at the same time. It had the whole cult thing going on. That was really cool.
They actually were zombies. Because
right? Yeah.
Well, the thing is that what zombies essentially are. These are people that are being controlled or not.
Oh, you mean the traditional,
the traditional sense of a zombie? Only in recent years, since Romero put that idea out, that zombies became undead nightmares.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, these are like actual zombies. Yeah, that are controlled by others. Yeah, Resident Evil 4. Yeah, The Last of Us, that was really good. And I liked the first season of The Walking Dead from Telltale. That was really good too.
Those were good.
Yeah. Go ahead, Carlos.
Resident Evil, yeah, 4 for the same reasons. The Last of Us for the obvious reasons, and the one that I'm introducing that is different from everyone else is Left 4 Dead.
I wasn't. I would have
Yeah,
said
no.
that one, but I've never played.
I never played it either, so I don't know.
What?
Man, Left 4 Dead was so fun.
Oh
man.
man, that was
So many great memories. So many and it's like one of those. I don't know if it was the first one, but it's one of those first like co-op zombie games where it's just you,
was
3
awesome.
buddies, and a fucking swarm of zombies running to you like fucking full speed.
And you knew who had health because you would see the health pack on their back.
Yeah,
So you're like, all right, this dude has an extra health pack. He can heal me up.
yeah, man. That it was so fast paced. It ran good and it had a co-op, man. You can't ask for more for a zombie game.
Yeah, love that one. Left 4 Dead 2 was great too.
Yeah, go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, Left 4 Dead, the 1 and 2 doesn't even matter. That was awesome. Oh shit. The Last of Us. Put that up there. And I'm trying to think of a really good one because I mean,
Yo, man, zombies ate my neighbors, man.
no,
Hey, that game was awesome.
That game was awesome.
You know what? Reloaded. That was a good one. Loaded. Was it loaded? Or reloaded for
Fighting
PS2?
zombies in that game, I can't remember.
They were crazy. They were crazy maniacs. They might as well be zombies in a chainsaw.
They'll just ran at you.
They just ran at you. I remember you would shoot them, and all the blood just splat up against the wall. Like, it's like,
Ooh, I got one. This was a zombie game I did like. House of the Dead on Dreamcast. That was fun.
I don't like House.
I like that shit. And remember Typing of the Dead? That shit was crazy.
Also, I'm starting to understand this so much more.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead, Brett.
Oh, let's see. Daisy.
Daisy.
Classic. Even though it was a broken, horrible piece of shit, God, I loved that fucking game. Dead Rising and Dying Light.
All right, what about some of the shitty games?
No one gonna mention the Red Dead Redemption DLC.
Oh, that was awesome. That's right.
Yeah, it was repetitive though.
Nah, but
I
it was
didn't
good.
like
It was
it.
good. I like that. I like that
Yeah,
because
I shooting it. And
I
then
like that.
lighting
It had other monsters in it and and shit.
I like that it had other monsters, but that was one of those aspects of what we talked about earlier about zombie games, where it's just they're kind of running at you and mobbing you.
Yeah,
and they
that
just
was
it'd be roaming mobs of zombies that
Yeah.
just be running.
Yeah, that was annoying, but I like that DLC because of the monsters that you got to find and the horses that you find, like the horses of the apocalypse. That was fun, you know.
By the way, and when I played Left 4 Dead, you think I go crazy when I play Monster Hunter? Yo, that game.
My man was like, "Yo, damn." All right, what about some shitty ones?
H1Z1 was pretty bad.
Uh-oh.
DayZ.
I can go on both lists.
Yeah, DayZ's really one of those that really like it. The idea is like revolutionary, but a lot of its implementations were just felt.
Oh
shit.
yeah, it was just straight up broken, but it somehow managed to be awesome in spite of being broken. So, and it was never finished. So I think it's actually pretty fair to put it on both lists. I'll be honest, I fucking hated Resident Evil 5.
Yeah, 5 was just okay, you know.
5 was okay.
Five was
wasn't
okay.
super impressed with 4. Like, I love the gameplay of 4. I hated the story. Los Plagas makes no goddamn sense. Not like the T-Virus made way more. So my favorite Resident Evil is 2. Like the Fall of Raccoon City, fuck yeah. Los Plagas, like, I didn't really like the story. I didn't really like the setting.
As long
I
as you
liked
don't
the
say
mechanics.
6, bro, we're good with us.
What's
Yeah,
that?
as long as you don't say Resident Evil 6 is your favorite, we're fine. Resident Evil 2 is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Resident Evil 2 was my favorite. 4, like I said, I get why everybody loved it, and I loved I loved the mechanics about the game. I felt that the aesthetics of the game were washed out and gray. I felt that the narrative was weak with a lot of plot holes. I felt that the change from zombie to Los Plagas made very little sense, and was unnecessary and didn't really have a payoff. I didn't The whole thing just kind of confused me. But the game was just enjoyable enough that I still played it beginning. And I'm like, oh, that's one of my favorite Resident Evil games. But not because Los Plagas. And I felt 5 really, by the time 5 came around, I was like, none of this shit is new. The mechanics are basically the same. The story feels more convoluted than last time somehow. So just, I really didn't like Resident Evil 5. I thought y'all were going to mob me for saying that.
No.
I mean,
even though Manny and I did play that game a lot and we got the platinum, but we will be the first to tell you that was not exactly
that was not a Resident Evil game, man.
Not really. It was just an action game, you know?
Yeah, I like. Here's the thing. I like that game for its stupid over the topness.
Yes.
You know, Chris pushing the boulder and essentially doing having a big martial art fight with Jill Valentine and Wesker. But at the same time, it is not a.
Yeah, but that's why I'm like, just go full goofy and go to Dead Rising. Like that's the reason Dead Rising.
That's exactly what was wrong with it. Where it was dipping its toe into that crazy world. But it wasn't doing it. It wasn't doing it enough to get, in other words, it was like Dead Rising is like a tongue in cheek, was very tongue in cheek. Resident Evil is like that really silly B movie action movie that takes itself seriously.
Yeah.
But it doesn't realize how absurd it is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that I like it for that reason, but for as far as Resident Evil games, it is the furthest away from what I considered a Resident Evil game.
Yeah, until 6 came out, which really just, oh my god. Oh, 6. 6 was fucking, that's one of the worst one of the worst games, period. Fuck zombie genre, just a horrible game.
I didn't play that. I actually stayed away, otherwise I would probably be on my list.
That fucking terrible game. And I'm pretty sure some of those Resident Evil offshoots are probably pretty bad too,
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot. I'm sure there were a lot of bad zombie games, but like for the same reason I didn't play State of Decay 1, like I didn't play a lot of those because it was like I didn't play 7 Days to Die either, and I've heard really good things about that. But player base on that one kind of dropped out, and those multiplayer centric games really rely on their player base. So, I'm trying to think of other really bad ones. There was a top down shooter zombie game that everybody loved that I was not a fan of.
Was that Dead Nation?
Yeah, that's it.
I like Dead Nation. That was fun. It
was okay. It got repetitive real fast.
Yeah, it did though. It kind of reminded me of Smash TV though, so that was kind of fun. I haven't played Smash
but dude,
TV.
like the way everybody's like, "Oh, dude, Dead Nation, no, these games fucking awesome."
After the second level, you kind of get the idea of the whole game. You know?
I mean, I did enjoy it, and I think the part of Dead Nation I really enjoyed the most was actually the cooperative part of Dead Nation, where we're playing with somebody else, but playing that game alone is not. I wouldn't say it's that fun.
See, that's just
on Vita.
What's weird here is that Tony, I like lots of melee enemies and winding my way through them and having to like kind of be tactical, sneak my way in. I hate those Dead Nation kinds of games where they just throw waves and waves of enemies at you. You hate a bunch of melee enemies, but you like when they throw waves and waves of them at you.
I mean, I think also they haven't really made a real.
Fuck! I had myself muted the whole time. Maybe I gotta say it again. Basically,
we heard you.
No,
we heard you, but
they didn't. Yeah, I forgot to unmute myself. So basically, it's all about the perspective. Like I like games like Final Fight, Streets of Rage, Ninja Turtles, and shit. But if you place those games in a 3D setting like Dynasty Warriors, I don't like it, even though it's the same fucking shit.
But what if it was the 2D version of that?
If it was the 2D version of, but I just said a Dynasty Warriors in 2D, I probably would like.
But like in other words, it's still 3D game, but it's like side scrolly thing, like Final Fight.
Yeah. Then I would still like it. It's a very weird thing. It's like how the perspective could change your whole outlook on it. It's like I'm more willing to accept a billion zombies coming at me if it's in a top-down view, but if it's 3D, I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Very interesting. But again, those games remind me of Smash TV, which I loved back in the day. But anyway, continue. Well, I think we're done with that question. Anyway, yeah, let's move on, man. Where the hell are we? Okay, Joel Torres is going to finish us out with his last two questions. So the first one is, and I wish we had Chris for this one. Why do you guys think it's so hard for Nintendo to add apps to the Switch?
I think it's a money thing. I don't think it's a difficulty thing. It's just who's willing to pay them. Hulu's on there, so.
Yeah, it's a lot of those apps and stuff are really developed by the companies, by these exterior companies. So Google would have to design a YouTube app and all those, and that's the way that those sorts of things work. And if you remember with the PlayStation Vita, eventually a lot of those apps never worked again, or they deleted them from the store because these companies said, you know what, we're not going to, Skype, we're not going to invest in that sort of stuff anymore.
But it was funny with the Hulu one because they were like, "Oh, we listen to what our customers want." I'm like, "Really? People from Nintendo are all on Hulu? Is that was bigger than Netflix? Come on now." So it to me that tells me it's all about the money.
Yeah, what you mean? Whoever's willing to pay them, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I think that's Nintendo's hubris there.
Yeah. I agree with that.
As Chris would say, never trust anything Kimishima would say. It's so easy to get a Netflix app. Like literally, almost any device has a Netflix app that's active. Like
Vita still has theirs.
Yeah.
Like so, it's just Nintendo, man. They could have easily released a Netflix app.
Wait, is that actually Chris in the comments right now?
Shit, Chris is there.
So he goes, look at ROI from Netflix and others on Wii U and past systems, probably lowest engagement. Yeah, okay, that is Chris. What's going on, Chris? I'm glad you're here so you can actually answer this question, but it seems like we're all on agreement here. So this Nintendo doesn't want to fucking pay for it.
Yeah.
Kimishima. I'm waiting a little bit to see if Chris has any follow-ups there, but yeah, because you're right. Netflix was on Wii U and shit, and it was
YouTube.
They had, come on, yeah.
YouTube was on 3DS.
Because the Switch is powerful enough to run this shit. Obviously, that's not the issue. So it's got to be that. By the way, I'm wondering, Chris, did a little bird like whisper in your ear, like, "Yo, they're talking about Nintendo right now, man. Get on." That's funny, man. I think we answered it well enough, so we'll move on to the final question, which is still about Nintendo. Should Nintendo do one more E3 conference? Dun, dun, dun.
One more?
I don't know. That's the part I'm stuck. I'm like, why one more? Like,
so are they going out of business next week? What's going on there?
My thing is Nintendo doesn't need to do a conference anymore. They can just do their Nintendo Direct. They have it all controlled, and that's it.
It's a control. I think why their E3s work for them is because they get to control a lot of the messaging. Everything comes through them. So as opposed to the kind of hoopla, and it also, not to mention, doing those big E3 shows with all the special effects and flashy things. And getting, and renting the space, all that stuff costs money. And if you remember, Nintendo was, kind of, shaving off some cash at those hard points after Mr. Wii wasn't doing so well.
Yeah.
So,
even though, here's the funny thing. If Nintendo were to have another E3 conference, I think it would go over really well because they're like the industry darlings right now. That's the ironic part. Like, they could have one. It would probably be like the most I'm trying to think of a good word, but it would be the one that all the journalists would try to get into. It would be the one that gamers would try to get into. But they're not going to do one. I
think Nintendo has been doing incredibly well with their alternative strategy, which is doing the Nintendo World Championships at the E3, essentially getting all the the fans involved and all that stuff. I think that's doing a lot better for them than actually doing those shows.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you. I think their alternative strategies are working better for them. But I'm saying if they were to do an E3, it would probably go over really well. It
would probably go.
But
over
they're not
well,
gonna. But they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it.
I don't think they're going to do it. The thing is that they because they can kind of create these contrived situations. They don't get silly situations like the Wii Wii Music not working on stage.
Yeah. Very controlled.
You don't get situations like that where demos don't work. What you put out there is, if you're not sure if the demo's not working, they'll do they'll have an interview with Miyamoto sitting in front of a screen, of the game, a very contrived situation. And I think that they're providing what is it? I want to call it the magical world of Disney's look at what they're doing. Essentially, you know how if you ever seen the magical world of Disney, it's Walt Disney, essentially pitching you, the people out there, his ideas. He's like, well, I got this amazing thing called Epcot Center.
It's like every week.
Yeah. So it'd be all those different things, all the different plans and things he had, but you never get to see it. The messed up side of things, like, oh, hey, this thing didn't work, or all that other stuff. No, you get to hear the happy controlled version of everything, as opposed to seeing demos again breaking on the stage. You see, something not working, an awkward situation. Somebody says an awkward thing. Stuff like that. It's all controlled. So I feel like their Nintendo Directs and their little tiny booth presentations tend to work a lot better.
Oh, the treehouse, right?
The treehouse presentations and all those contrived situations work better for them because they can put out these kind of very, very sterile and concise sorts of things. Now the only thing is just making these things a little more interesting to watch, because it's still water torture.
It's the water torture, oh man.
I don't know. I watch those. I know there's a lot of people that love those Nintendo Direct, but my God, it is like.
Oh my God, they had Smash Brothers.
It is like watching
fucking fighting and shit.
It's about as bad as watching children's television. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like watching Blue's Clues, where it's like, this is a dog. Watch the dog walk across the screen. Isn't that great? Don't you think it's great? Yay! It feels like that. It feels like they think every single person who's watching this thing is stupid.
Well, it's for little kids, so they sort of are stupid.
But the thing is that it's not. But the thing is that
you're gonna be watching it. Why are you watching it?
Yeah, exactly. You watch this for little kids, but the thing is that this thing that's is made for older people. You know what I mean? Unless some kid is getting really excited for freaking Doom. He's watching the Nintendo.
Whatever happened to the Wolfenstein one for Switch?
It's coming.
So that's my only issue with the Nintendo Directs, is just I feel like they think that we're all in kindergarten.
I feel like they need to do an E3 conference personally. Nintendo has been trying to show, at least in my opinion, that they can run as a major console, that they can run with the big boys. So while I don't feel like they need to be in direct competition, I feel like they should at least make a presence at the same show.
But don't you think they have a presence just by their Nintendo Direct?
I feel like their Nintendo Direct was kind of this weird blue ocean strategy where they're like, we're going to step back, we're going to kind of do our own thing, we're going to not compete, because they knew that they couldn't. But them being as big a thing in the industry as they are now, I feel like they should have an E3. Like, if you want to command a decent chunk of the market, you should have a booth at E3. And when Nintendo wasn't
Nintendo has always had a booth.
Does have a booth. Yeah, they've always had a booth.
Yeah, they've never stopped having a booth.
Yeah,
excuse me, a presentation.
Okay. Anyway, go on. Yeah, by not having a presentation,
continue. By not having a presentation, I don't feel like they want to be or they're trying to be taken as seriously as everybody wants them to. I feel like there's a time to not get into a fight, and there's a time to be competitive. And when you're doing as well as Nintendo is, it's not a time to shy away from a fight or shy away. Like just like you said, like they would be the industry, they'd be the darling at the show. And it would also show that they are not a powerhouse, but they've got more swing than they used to. Backing out of it, I think in the first place was a show of non-competition. So if they want to show that they are a competing market force, then they should have a presentation at E3. That's just kind of the lay of the land right now.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else? E3, yay, nay?
Yeah. I don't think they will. I'm just saying they should.
Yeah. By the way, X Skull says Nintendo Direct equals Sesame Street.
I mean, it's actually, to be honest, it's a little bit more childish than Sesame Street. To be honest, Sesame Street at least it acknowledges that you're that a child can comprehend deeper things. But I feel like, again, where it's like the equivalent to watching Blue's Clues. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like that. It's like preschool or like children's television almost.
Hilarious, but accurate. Damn it. All right, so that's gonna do it for us, man. So thank you guys for watching and listening. Leave us the questions in the comment section of this episode here on YouTube or over on the Coalition. We'll answer them on next week's show. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Follow us on Twitch, Mixer, Twitter, and Facebook at Throwdown Show. Links are located in the description below. Once again, our show is Tony Polanco. Time joined by Emilio Lopez.
I'll see you later, guys.
Carlos Romero.
For those of you outside the United States, we apologize for starting an hour early, but we had to appease the American farmers.
Yeah, you know. Mr. Brett Murdoch.
I'm real party people.
And Adam Vale.
Have fun this week.
Yo, man, what's the Lucha ad, man?
Where is it? We don't know. They're still filming it, and there's no date. There's nothing. Who knows? Don't worry. When it does come, I'll help promote it, and then they'll send me swag.
Call up. Let's call fucking Robert Rodriguez, man. We got at least like 4 like Hispanic people on this show. So
Yeah, no, it's true. I'll send. In fact, you know what? I will. I'll send him an email this weekend.
Yeah, you hit him up, man. All right, man. We'll see you on Thursday, man, for episode 175, man. Crazy. We may do a giveaway. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Rico will be on, so that'll be fun.
sounds good.
All right. Later, people.
Later, guys.
Later, people.
Deuces.